Hey, come on in, grab a chair, close the door. Welcome to the office. So today, we're going to have a bit of a one-on-one mentoring session. Because look, in our current 2026 landscape, your immediate career goal isn't just to get, faster at your software or better at mindlessly pushing pixels around a canvas, right? We all know designers who can literally do that in their sleep. If you really want to step up into that senior art director role, we need to completely shift your mindset. We're moving away from just functional execution and moving toward actively manipulating human psychology. Sir John Hegarty once laid down a truth that we absolutely live by around here. He said, "The designer is the architect of clarity, but the art director is the creative anarchist." And wow, is that true today? In 2026, pure design execution is literally everywhere. Highly functional, excellent design, it's basically a commodity now. I mean, automation can generate a perfect grid for you in seconds, but conceptual, visionary thinking, that right there is the true premium skill. You've got to stop just making things orderly and start making them chaotic in the absolute best, most provocative way possible.
So let's break down this core dichotomy, because this is really the heart of what we do for a living. Design is all about maximum effect, function, and logic. When you're playing the role of a designer, your job is to distill and refine. You are creating order out of all the noise. But art direction, that is an entirely different beast. Art direction is about maximum impact, spontaneity, and raw, unfiltered emotion. You become an engineer of emotional impact. Your ideas shouldn't just politely join a conversation, they need to explode it. You're no longer just making things highly usable, you're engineering them to be deeply, deeply felt by the consumer. But here's the thing, to actually be that creative anarchist, you can't just run around breaking rules blindly. That doesn't work. You need a deep understanding of the science of seeing before you can start messing with it. So, let's ground your vision in Gestalt theory. This is your absolute foundation for understanding how the human brain naturally simplifies and makes sense of visual chaos. It is literally the framework of how we perceive the world. And, more importantly for your career trajectory, it's how you can precisely control that perception from right behind the camera lens.
Let's look at exactly how this plays out in the real world. Take a look at these two Bolivian girls and notice how they are physically grouped super close together in the frame. By doing something this incredibly simple, you are basically forcing the viewer's brain to perceive them as a single, connected unit. That physical closeness instantly implies a shared identity and a really profound relationship. Our brains automatically go, okay, they belong together simply because they're close to each other. That right there is the principle of proximity doing all the heavy lifting for you.
But watch what happens when we tweak just one variable and introduce distance. By moving those exact same subjects apart, you completely rewrite the entire visual subtext. Suddenly, we aren't seeing a unit anymore. We see them as isolated individuals with entirely unique identities and internal worlds. And you did this by doing nothing more than manipulating the physical distance in your composition on set. You are actively steering the emotional narrative here. You haven't changed the subjects at all, you just changed the space between them. It's kind of like magic, right?
Now, the principle of similarity works in much the same way. Even when you're dealing with completely distinct objects, say a deck of vintage playing cards or a row of mechanical typewriter keys, leveraging shared traits automatically forges a subconscious connection in the viewer's mind. Whether it's the consistent round shapes of those keys or the identical sizing and spacing of the cards, you are forcing the viewer's mind to categorize them as unified groups. And the best part? You're pulling all these strings without them ever even realizing it.
Okay, so now we graduate from basic visual perception to advanced psychological manipulation. There are 5 main pillars of consumer psychology that we rely on to actively steer desire. We've got visual dissonance, the endowment effect, the decoy effect, habit loops, and finally, scarcity alongside social proof. These are the core cognitive triggers you absolutely must master. When you step onto a set, these 5 concepts should literally be running on a loop in your head before you even glance at a lighting plan.
Let's break these down a bit, starting with visual dissonance. Think about how we visually frame a problem that the consumer might not even realize they have yet. Say we want to represent their daily digital exhaustion. That's the underlying problem. We might use harsh, clinical blue light from a computer monitor paired with a kind of muddy, uninviting background. Then, to frame your product as the ultimate antidote to that problem, you contrast it with a rich, inviting 2700 Kelvin tungsten glow. You are visually defining that digital grind as the enemy and pitching your product as the warm, protective solution.
Next up is the endowment effect. And honestly, this is kind of the holy grail of art direction. It's all about fostering a profound sense of psychological ownership before a purchase is ever even made. So instead of shooting some detached, sterile product sitting lonely on a seamless background, you shoot from a strict first-person, over-the-shoulder perspective. By using a 35mm lens, which beautifully mimics human peripheral vision, by the way, and capturing a model's hands mid-action, you literally trick the viewer's brain into feeling the tactile sensation of already holding the product. They aren't just looking at an ad anymore. They are looking through someone else's eyes.
Now, when it comes to the decoy effect, visual hierarchy is basically your best friend. When framing this up on set, you're carefully orchestrating 3 separate elements. First, your basic product gets flat lighting. It looks fine, sure, but a bit isolated. Next, your ultra-premium decoy is styled to look intentionally intimidating. Maybe it's oversized, placed behind reeded glass, heavily shadowed. It looks beautiful, but purposefully unapproachable. Finally, your target premium product is placed dead center, hit with a really precise spotlight. By degrading that basic tier and isolating the decoy, your spotlighted target product suddenly looks incredibly accessible and undeniably high value.
Then there's the habit loop. Listen to me on this one. You have got to stop shooting pristine, untouched bottles on white paper. We are well past that era. It just screams cheap commodity nowadays. To truly engineer desire, you need to capture the vibe of an anchor ritual. If you want to insert, say, a wellness product into a morning routine, use hard light modifiers to cast strong, low-angle morning shadows. You really want to mimic that 7 a.m. sun slice. Throw some rumpled linen into a soft focus background. You aren't just photographing a bottle, you are photographing a slot in their daily habit loop that is currently empty without your product.
Finally, we have scarcity and social proof. You want your visual to scream to the consumer that this item belongs to a fast-moving, incredibly high-status lifestyle that they have to hustle just to catch. You achieve this through what we like to call the fleeting editorial look. This means using extreme minimalist negative space, or maybe an intentional motion blur where the model's walking briskly past the camera. That deliberate imperfection creates a very specific visual subtext. It tells the viewer this item is rare, it's expensive, and it is in incredibly high demand. It basically says, catch up if you can.
Now, the matrix we've put together here is absolutely vital. Consider this your flawless cheat sheet for visual psychology in commercial art direction. It directly maps the exact emotion you want to evoke to the specific camera angles, lighting setups, and set design elements you need to demand from your crew. Seriously, want to create a sense of urgency? You need an eye level distance with high contrast, cool to warm lighting. Want to elevate the high value perception of a product? You demand low angles with sharp rim lighting. This is exactly how you translate abstract psychology into concrete, actionable requests on set. So how do you actually prove you've mastered all this? Well, it's time to take these psychological principles and build out your conceptual toolkit. Look, in 2026, your portfolio shouldn't just show me that you can make things pretty or orderly. I want to see bold, 360-degree speculative campaigns that prove to me you can think infinitely bigger than pure execution. Fake a campaign if you have to. Go ahead and create projects that show you understand consumer insights, you grasp the big ideas, and you know exactly how to weave complex visual subtext across multiple channels.
Which brings us to the final and most important question. Are you ready to stop executing someone else's clarity and start engineering your own impact? The choice is entirely up to you. You can stay in the safe, completely logical world of design, continually creating order and function while slowly getting outpaced by automation. Or you can step up, use visual subtext to actively steer consumer desire, and become the creative anarchist this industry so desperately needs right now. It's time to start thinking bigger. Rely on these tools to build your vision, and I'll see you in the next explainer.